Whispers of the Mothman. The autumn air in Point Pleasant was crisp, tinged with the scent of falling leaves and the faintest hint of smoke from a nearby bonfire. It was the perfect setting for a weekend retreat, especially for Lena and her friends, Mark and Sarah. As city dwellers, they were eager to embrace the quiet excitement of the small town, which was infamous for its legends, especially the Mothman. The trio rented a quaint cabin just outside the town, nestled in the woods. It was cozy, with a fireplace and windows that overlooked the vast expanse of dark trees. On their first night, after a hearty dinner, they gathered around the fire, the ambiance transformed into one of ghost stories and laughter. "So, who wants to hear about the Mothman?" Lena grinned, throwing a log on the flames as embers danced into the night. "Isn't that just a silly story?" Mark scoffed, leaning back in his chair. "Just folklore to scare little kids." "Oh, come on." Sarah rolled her eyes, her curiosity piqued. "I've heard a lot about it. It's said to be a giant creature with glowing red eyes and massive wings. People have spotted it before disasters." "Exactly, just a made-up monster to keep us on edge," Mark continued dismissively. But Lena's eyes sparkled with mischief. "Then why don't we go look for it?" she suggested. "The park ranger told me that there have been sightings near the old TNT plant. It's only a short hike from here." Mark hesitated, a nervous expression passing over his face. "That place is supposed to be haunted, isn't it?" Lena laughed. "Haunted? Please. What's the worst that could happen? Let's go." Against Mark's better judgment, they decided to hike to the old TNT plant, armed with flashlights and an insatiable thirst for adventure. The three friends exchanged banter as they traipsed down the overgrown path, the sounds of the night enveloping them. Twigs cracked underfoot, and the wind whispered through the trees, sending shivers down their spines. "See? All in our heads," Mark said, trying to sound brave. But as they approached the derelict building, a sense of unease gripped the air. The plant loomed ahead, its broken windows like hollow eyes staring into the void. "Let's check it out," Lena chirped, her excitement unwavering. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with decay and neglect. Rusting machinery cast strange shadows in their flashlights, while the faint smell of dirt and mildew lingered in the stale air. They wandered through the skeletal remains of the structure, their voices echoing in the emptiness. "What exactly are we looking for?" Sarah asked, nervously glancing at the dark corners. "Anything," Lena replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Just keep an eye out." Suddenly, a gentle rustling noise emanated from a distant room, followed by a low, mournful cry that sliced through the silence like a blade. The hairs on the back of Mark's neck stood on edge. "What was that?" he whispered, panic creeping into his voice. "Probably the wind." Lena tried to reassure him, but doubt crept into her own heart. They inched closer to the sound, Lizzie's heart racing with a mix of thrill and fear. As they approached a large, gaping hole in one wall, Lena flicked her flashlight toward the sound. The beam illuminated a massive creature standing motionless, its wings folded against its sides. The Mothman? Its eyes gleamed a bright, terrifying red, reflecting their light back at them like two burning embers. The creature's wings unfurled, revealing an enormous span that seemed to fill the room. A chill surged through the air, heavier than they had ever felt before. "Run!" Mark yelled, breaking the spell of terror. They didn't need telling twice. The three of them sprinted back through the wreckage, adrenaline propelling them faster than they had ever run. The echo of their frantic footsteps rang against the stone walls as they stumbled into the night air. They didn't stop until they reached the path leading back to their cabin, the familiar trees suddenly feeling ominous under the pale moonlight. Breathless, they gathered around the fire once more, the flickering flames barely warding off the chill that had settled in their bones. What was that?" Sarah stammered, her face pale. Lena's excitement had faded, replaced by a creeping realization. It was real, the Mothman is real. Mark stared into the fire, the light reflecting fear in his eyes. "What do we do now?" "Maybe it's a warning," Lena suggested, trying to muster optimism, though her heart quaked. "Maybe it sees something coming." As if answering her, a deep screech pierced the still night, a mournful sound that echoed through the woods and sent them all into silence. They exchanged horrified glances, the weight of their encounter heavy in the air. That night, none of them slept. They sat by the fire, anticipating another visit from the dark-winged creature. And somewhere in the murky depths of the forest, the Mothman stirred, watching, waiting, a harbinger of unknown doom. By dawn, the sunrise illuminated the fog that hung thick in the trees, and when Lena stepped outside, she found a single black feather resting on the ground, heavy and foreboding. Overall, they left Point Pleasant that day with the harsh knowledge that some legends should remain just that, and that the darkness was best left undisturbed.